Pretty nice round of price target increases. JPM goes to 220, Credit Suisse 218. It's been pointed out that it took Netflix 9 years to get to 95 million subs. It's taken Disney 14 months.
It was a joyous call. Clip, they did not change the fiscal year 2024 to profitability guidance, which I wanted, because you do want to temper things a little after this gigantic run. But it is really very hard. And, David, I know that you've studied this company for a very long time. It is very hard to find a company that can make so much money when most of it is closed.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, cruise ships, obviously the theme parks have not been open in many places or sporadically and not to capacity. And then their movies are not being seen in movie theaters. No. So those are the three components of Disney that have not really seen significant revenue in a long time.
Cruising, kind of.
Cruising, yes, at the top.
But,
yeah.
The moment on the call, Carl, that was most seemed to get the most resonance when they were talking about maybe no masks, maybe not having to wear masks in 2022. Of course, that's this new normality. And when you get to normality, I think people are going to say, you know what? I want to go somewhere, and this is the most visible destination in the world, whether it be in Paris, whether it be in Asia, whether it be in California, which will matter very much. And I know you know Disney very, very well, better than anyone who's on our staff. But it is the things that they described. My kids are now 29 and 26. I felt like calling them, Carl, and saying, you know what, we're going to Disneyland.
It's funny you mentioned that, Jim, because I remember Chapek came on our air, I'm guessing must have been April or May of last year, and we were asking about challenges for the parks when they were to reopen. They were closed at that point, and he said masks. He said masks for the clientele are challenging, especially in Orlando in the summer. And, of course, last night on the call, he did talk about vaccines, mass vaccination, herd immunity being a game changer, maybe as soon as April. Here's what he said.
We have no doubt that when we reopen up in parks that were closed or increase the capacity, that we'll have some level of social distancing and mask wearing, for the remainder of this year. That's our expectation. But I believe that Dr. Fauci said earlier today that he hopes that there's vaccines for everyone who wants them by April this year. If that happens, that is a game changer. And that could accelerate our expectations and give people the confidence that they need to come back to the parks.
To your point, Jim, I mean, there's the streaming tailwind and potentially the park tailwind.
But they're actually very conservative. They can put their price increases coming, Dave, you know that. But I want to call out someone, and I've done this before a couple of times. Sometimes you just can't do it enough. There's a CFO there who is really the continuum between Bob Iger, she's the bridge, and Chapek, and it's Christine McCarthy. And when she speaks, you listen. And the reason why is because they did a fundamental financial restructuring during this period of COVID. David, they probably did more to ensure that they are the Fort Knox of entertainment than any company at a time when it was very unclear why anyone would want to own the financials having to do with a theme park and entertainment company in the midst of the worst pandemic since 1918.
Yeah, listen, it is a surprise to see the performance of that stock over the last year, particularly, of course, as it hit those lows in that March-April period, as everybody tried to understand what the ramifications would be of the pandemic. And certainly Disney was thought to be one of the companies most at risk. And then we can rewind. Jim, when was it when we had that contentious, I'll call it contentious interview with Bob Iger? It was sort of after that August period. We talked a lot about ESPN. He sort of said, all you guys want to do is talk about ESPN. Was it 6, 7 years ago? I can't remember. But when you think about the transformation that has taken place at the company, how they have basically exited this ecosystem that existed for all these years. Although I shouldn't say exited. They haven't exited.
No, they haven't
exited. They've begun that transition from it. By the way, an incredibly profitable ecosystem. I'm talking, of course, about the one that we're a part of, the cable networks ecosystem, where you're getting paid by all those people who don't actually watch you. That's a great business. But that transition that's taken place and that they have now been rewarded for having succeeded at already, given direct-to-consumer is now the way this company is measured.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.